Hello and welcome to day number 46 in our Travel Trader series. And today I want to talk to you about something that is called penny stocks. And I would love to warn you because in my experience they caused a lot of damage. And the reason is that every once in a while some of my students or potential students comes to me, asks me about penny stocks or tells me about the great possibilities that these kind of stocks have, and that they heard about some trainer, some coach, someone that made millions in penny stocks, at least they claim so. And then I want to give you a few insights of this. First of all, let's talk about what is a penny stock. So typically a penny stock is a small company. So small means it doesn't have a lot of market valuation or market capitalization. It means the amount of stocks that the company has multiplied by its share price is very small, let's say 50 million or something. So it's not a big company. And the next thing is the price typically is below $1 or below €1, means the stock price is not really big. And as these companies are small, there are not many analysts focusing on it. That means there's not many people reading through their books, checking them regularly if there's something fishy going on or if they see something. So you're pretty much on your own if you trade these things, and you have to do your own due diligence about these companies. While in bigger companies you typically can rely on a horde of analysts for banks, financial institutions, that if their books would show something or some potential trouble, that these analysts would react to it, because they are professionals, means they're getting paid to only do that, while as they are not interested in these small stocks, they wouldn't dig deeper into it and they wouldn't give you these kind of insights. So that would be your work, means penny stocks would be a lot of work in addition for you. Plus you first of all have to be able to do these kind of things. So you need to know about all these bookkeeping things, all the tricks you can do as a company on a legal way, even to hide certain things and to put things in one portion of your assets rather than the other one, and all these kind of things that you can do. We can have another session covering some of these things, what could be done, but that would go far too deep for what I want to talk to you about today. Now, given that we also have low volume typically, so that means you don't have many shares traded on the stock market, and that's where one of these tricks comes in. If you have two people that maliciously want to cause damage to other people, they could use a very small stock. I'll give you an example. Let's say we have the company, let's call it XYZ Limited, and we have two people here. Let's say we have malicious John on one side, and he works together with malicious Jane on the other side. So, as you can see, male and female, perfectly drawn. Obviously not one of my talents, but okay. For what they can do is they would specifically look for an XYZ Limited company that has very low volume, let's say just a few hundred shares a day. And they take a little bit of money, let's say they start out with 100,000 and they buy the first 1,000 shares. So he starts, let's say he buys shares at 10 cents or something, so $0.1. What he does now is he sells these shares on the other side to Jane, and Jane is now willing to pay 20 cents for it. So now the price of the stock doubled. And the next thing that she does is she sells them, let's say this time back to John for 30 cents. Now, you can already see that the price goes up and up and up, and we can go back and forth and back and forth. And eventually, let's say we go from 10 cents, just to make it easy to calculate, and he sells it back to Jane, and now the stock price is at $1. Now what's next in that scheme is that, and they create some volume, because if they trade it back and forth in certain increments, let's say from 10 to 11 to 12 to 12.50 to 13 to 15. They create a lot of volume. So every time although it's just two people trading the stock back and forth, they create a lot of volume because they are selling and buying 1,000 stock, but the same 1,000 stocks, but time after time after time. If they do that 10, 20 times a day, they create a volume of 10,000, 20,000, or if they do it on a bigger scale, let's say 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. So they can create a lot of volume out of thin air. And the price will soar and go up because every time they buy and sell it, the price will increase a little bit. And they obviously won't do it with 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents. They will do it kind of automated, and they will increase it. And they have to have a look at a stock that has really no other players in it. And that's why you use penny stocks, because no one, apart from a few owners maybe, are really interested in these things. But they nevertheless, they might be a good business or anything, and they are just in a stage where they are not making a lot of money. They are not an Apple yet or something. They might become one day, but you don't know at that point in time. So they are just small companies starting out or something. Now the next thing that you could do if you're really malicious, and of course these things are illegal, but like speeding is illegal too. That doesn't mean that it never happens. It just means if they get caught, they might face serious penalties for it. However, typically what they will do is they find someone that, let's say, sends an email out to a board list of people where they had like thousands, 10,000s of recipients that they bought for a few bucks somewhere. And then they send it out like a spam email, and thankfully many of these get filtered, but sometimes they might come through, or you might even have read some of them or gotten some of them. So they will send that out, and or someone else in their name will send it out, so it doesn't fall back to them. And that email might say that XYZ is the new Amazon or the new Apple, and they have that great technology they are developing, or that if it's a pharmaceutical company or a biotech company, they have a potential medicine that will come up and will make billions in revenue. And then they show you the statistics. Look, all of a sudden we have a huge interest because the volume goes up, rather than having a few thousand shares. Now it's 10, 20, 50,000 shares a day trading. And they will show you, look, the price already tenfolded because it went from 10 cents to $1. And if you don't want to miss out, you gotta buy XYZ right now, because if you wait another week, it might be at $2 or $3, and it might go to 120, and then you would have lost out of the opportunity to make millions of dollars or euro or whatsoever if you don't buy XYZ now. And they will give you all these kind of things, and they will send out many of these emails in different forms and variants in order to get people that just read over it and don't know about these kind of schemes to get someone that buys that share to $1. Now let's assume someone would have bought it. What do you think will happen next? Now our buyers, Jane and John, they are gone. That means the price now there's no more buyer in it. Like when they dumped all their shares to other people, there's no one creating any demand. And when the first person realizes, okay, it's not the next Amazon, maybe not the next Amazon yet, if there is a company XYZ Limited, I'm sorry, but they might be or whatsoever. But if these buyers are gone, the price won't go up. And now someone thinks, okay, it's not going up as I thought or as I was promised, so I start to sell them. So I put in an order and want to sell it for $1. But there's still no buyer. So they might say, okay, if I don't get it rid for $1, let's do 98 cents, 97, 95, 90, 80, 70, 60. Very soon they will be back going down to 10 cents because there's simply no buyer on the other side. The first ones going out, they might be lucky because there's still people that think, oh, okay, that must go to 120, so now I buy it. And that's simply not the case. So the first ones, the very first ones, might be very lucky, but for the rest, the stock price probably goes down to 10 cents, and if they are able to sell it then, they would have a 90% loss of whatever they invested. If you bought 10,000 shares of this, you just wasted $9,000 on a company that you never knew, that didn't have the potential, just because someone sent you an email and they used a scheme that is called pump and dump, if you want to Google it and read more into it, in order to get rid of their shares. And for them it worked out pretty good, because if they started to buy 1,000 or 10,000 shares at 10 cents, they only needed a little bit of money and they tenfolded their money, so they are pretty happy. But the rest of the people participating in that schemes are the unfortunate victims. That's why for me penny stocks is an absolute no-go. First of all, it makes much more work to go through their books. Some of them, depending on the size, might not even have the same rules in terms of bookkeeping than bigger companies, so you would have fewer information than you actually needed, and you don't have a volume. If anything, even if, let's say, for a moment, it's a legit company and everything goes well with that company and they are growing, if they have a problem and they messed up something, they will drop and there will nothing be in between, let's say $1.10. Even if that scheme wouldn't be there would be no buyer interested in it, just because it's a small and unknown company. While, let's say, if you have Apple, McDonald's, or any other company that has a decent size, like in the S&P 500, they are all really, really big companies, or the major stock markets in Europe. You can buy them and you can be sure that even if they mess up and you want to sell or you need to sell, yes, the stock price might drop 5%, 10% in a day or something, but you're likely to find a buyer on the other side, because someone thinks, hey, I don't know, let's say it's British Petroleum, they're a huge company, yes, they messed up in the US and they have to pay 18 billion or however it was US dollar as a fine, but the company will survive, it's still a huge company, and then eventually it might be a turnaround. So even if they drop and drop and drop, I think 46% over the course of 10 weeks back then, we were making money because we were shorting it, so we made money when it went down. But you will likely find a buyer on the other side, because people think, okay, now it's down 20%, so sooner or later it will go up and I can wait, and they pay a nice dividend anyway, so why not invest in it? And that won't happen with these small companies. Another reason for me personally is, if you think about, let's say you have a company, just to do an example, of 50 cents, and we are now not thinking about these things, we're thinking about the penny stock where everything is fine, decent company, starting to grow, already has some volume or something. Even if you have, let's say, 500,000 in volume here, which would be a very, very big one. Even if you have 1 million in volume here in terms of shares per day, that means that's 250,000 US dollars of shares that you can buy in a day. Now, if you think about it, once you get to serious amounts of money, let's say you have 5 million that you're investing in the stock market, and your position size is 500,000 unleveraged, and you want to buy 500,000 of these shares in the morning, that doesn't work, because there's only 250,000 available. Even if there would be 100,000 available, you would be making the whole market, so whatever price you put in there, probably most people will just throw away their shares and you end up having them all. And if you want to get out, there's no one on the other side where you could sell it. So once your portfolio has a certain amount of size, you simply can't trade these things because we are just too small. And you don't have to be a $1 billion hedge fund manager in order to reach these limits. Even if you have like 20, 30, 40,000, if you think about, in many cases, we want to get in on one day, and maybe 3, 4, 5 days later or a week later we want to get out, and we simply can't be assured that we find someone to get out, even if we are trading as low as 50,000, because that would be already 20% of the whole market that you do on that given day. So that simply wouldn't work. So you don't need to be all big in order to be too big for these penny stocks. That's another reason why I would never touch them. And I know there's a lot of people claiming they make millions with it. I don't know if it's true because I don't know these people. It might be true, but these are the reasons for me why I say penny stocks for me is an absolute no. I wouldn't touch them. I'm not interested in them. Way too much work, far too much risk, while we have plenty of examples where we can kind of double our money in large stocks due to some of our trading techniques. So why actually would I be bothered with penny stocks at all? So if you ever hear about them or come across them, be careful. Know that you have to do a lot of due diligence. Know that you have to find out if something like this is going on. And if you are not able to read your books properly, if you're not able to have insight into these kind of things, then from my perspective, there's absolutely no reason why you would participate in gambling like that. So that's my little warning for today, because I had a few people recently that were talking to me about it. So I wanted to give that out to you so you can decide on your own now that you know a few things. And that's just one scheme. There are a few others around, but I think that should be scary enough to make you think twice whether you want to be invested in these things or not. If you have any questions about it, please tell me in the comment section. If you have any suggestions of what to cover next, let me know as well. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. Last time from Cyprus before I head to Jordan on a little wellness vacation. As you know, we earned 10,000 last week, so I surprised my wife, booked a vacation to the lowest point on earth, and that's where we'll be for the next few days. And I will take you with me, show you around, and we will continue with our session, with our trading. If you have any questions, anything you want me to cover while somewhere, let me know. Otherwise, thank you very much. Have a great evening and goodbye.